At Community Data Platforms, we believe that all leaders should have access to data that is available in order to make strong decisions for the markets they serve. Our global data science team top grades, curates, QAs, structures, aggregates, and analyzes the best data sources to answer your pressing questions. The Housing Needs Assessment tool answers 3 primary questions: where to build, what to build, and who is the customer. Community Data Platform's Housing Needs Assessment tool answers these questions by combining the 2 important real estate ingredients of people and place. In this demo, we will be focusing on the Charleston market. The Housing Needs Assessment tool assumes that a real estate professional is already in some way committed to a specific market, in this case, Charleston. The Housing Needs Assessment tool first highlights the greatest opportunity over median income in the whole market and gives information related to the people that make up the greatest opportunity. In this case, we see that the greatest opportunity over median income is 4,068 units in West Ashley for those making between $100,000 to $150,000. Who are they? They're those categorized by the phrase abundant living. They're highly educated, active on Twitter, and have high discretionary spending. Secondly, the Housing Needs Assessment tool shows the greatest opportunity under median income. Coincidentally, this is also in West Ashley for those making less than $25,000 per year. This group of people are arriving and striving. They are committed to the American dream. They're disciplined in their discretionary spending, and they most commonly have blue-collar jobs. Scrolling down, the Housing Needs Assessment tool illustrates the current supply and demand of the market. The households in the market are assigned to different income bins, or AMI. Then the number of units available in terms of affordability are shown. The user has the ability to filter by household size or toggle between dollars and AMI, which would change this. In this case, you'll notice that there's enough inventory for those making between $25,000 and $100,000 per year, but a mismatch for those making less than $25,000 per year, and a mismatch for those making over $100,000 per year. The current supply and demand analysis is important and helpful, but as decisions are being made for the future, it is also important to know what's in the pipeline and how it affects the supply, demand, and mismatches. Basically, the Housing Needs Assessment tool can tell you if the window of opportunity is projected to stay open and how large of a window it really is. In the second graph, you'll notice that the middle column, number of units built or planned, now takes into account the units that are being currently built and the units that are in the pipeline. Notice that the magnitude of the mismatches change, but there is still significant need for those making less than $25,000 per year and those making more than $100,000 per year. It's also important to understand who lives in the market today and who is projected to live in the market over the next 5 years. The current demographics features gives insights related to those living in the market currently, like their age, if they have pets, the median number of children, among others. These are all important characteristics to take into account when creating the units and amenity mix of a development. Like we told you at the beginning, the Housing Needs Assessment tool can tell you what to build. The Housing Needs Assessment tool then shows the projected demographic growth of the population of the market based on different characteristics like age, household income, and race and ethnicity. This information highlights the potential future demand that a development could secure in their building. Finally, on a market level, the Housing Needs Assessment tool ties all of the information together in the future supply and demand graph. In the number of households column, we see who currently lives in Charleston plus who is projected to live there. In the number of units built or planned, we see the combination of the current units and what is in the pipeline. Those factors are compared in the mismatch column, which shows that large needs for those making less than $25,000 per year and for those making over $100,000 per year. Notice that for those making more than $100,000 per year, the current mismatch, if you were to sum these, is 18,996. When we only take into account the pipeline, the mismatch decreases to 14,161 units. But taking into account the pipeline, which is future supply, and population projections, which is future demand, the mismatch increases to 20,018, which is actually larger than the current mismatch by 1,022 units. What we've seen thus far has been on the market level, and the Housing Needs Assessment tool allows the user to zoom into different submarkets. For example, let's click on the West Ashley submarket, since that is where the greatest opportunity lies, both over and below median income. Notice that the KPIs did not update since they were already describing West Ashley. Say, for example, we clicked on the submarket Johns Island. Then on the Johns Island page, the KPIs would update to that particular submarket. As we scroll down, the general flow of the story is the same between the market and the submarket. Notice that the first graph shows the current supply and demand of the submarket specifically. We see the demand, we see the supply, and then we see the mismatch. This feature can also be seen by dollars or AMI, and the user also has the ability to filter by different household sizes. Next, we see the pipeline data specific to the submarket of West Ashley. Scrolling down again, the submarket demographics can speak to the unit and amenity mix that best fits the consumers of this particular market. Note that as time passes, the projected demographics will actually become the current demographics. It's important to note that the housing needs assessment tool is updated quarterly, as you can see here, so that real estate professionals can see how the market dynamic is changing, especially as it relates to people or demographics. To the right, we see the market demographics, which are shown to help the user understand the market potential they have to attract various groups to their development. The last graph is the future supply and demand of the market so that the user can see how the submarket compares to the overall market. Another feature of the Housing Needs Assessment tool is its download functionality. When the user clicks this button, the data at various aggregation levels will be downloaded. The market, the submarket, zip code, and even census tract data can all be downloaded into an Excel file. To wrap up this demo of Community Data Platform's Housing Needs Assessment tool, we've provided the answers to 3 questions. Where to build? The greatest opportunity lies in West Ashley for above and below median income. What to build? The user can use the current demographics and projected demographics to build the amenity mix and the unit mix to best suit your customers. Who is the customer? The type of people that make up the biggest opportunities, the abundant living group and the arriving and striving group. If you're interested in subscribing to the Housing Needs Assessment tool for a particular market, please email info@communitydataplatforms.com.